on the world's most amazing videos. Evel Knievel, the world's most amazing daredevil, relives his most horrifying crash. Plus, a missile hits its target, blowing a fighter jet out of the sky. And a horse race takes a terrifying turn when a jockey is launched 30 feet into the air. Plus, a terrified motorist runs for his life when a speeding car spins out of control. And it's the most bizarre circus act ever. No ifs, ands, or buts. These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
Jerome, Idaho. The entire town has turned out for the annual Snake River Chariot Races. It's an ancient sport that has been celebrated for generations. Behind the blue starting gate is driver Gene Coulter. He has no idea that he's about to take the most terrifying ride of his life. The gate flies open and they're off. The crowd gasps as the bar that connects Gene's chariot to the horses breaks free. It's now skidding across the ground, kicking up dirt as the horses move down the track. Gene desperately tries to stop the out-of-control chariot, but it's no use. Then, suddenly, he's launched 30 feet into the air. Take another look. The bar jams into the track, catapulting Gene straight up into the sky. As he slams to the ground, the horses continue down the track. Gene survives, and amazingly is only slightly injured in the bizarre accident. But he'll never forget the 30-foot plunge that almost put him 6 feet under. Altadena, California. 3 young hikers are stranded on this crumbling mountainside. They're terrified that at any moment they could fall 100 feet to the jagged ground below. With no time to spare, a fire department rescue team arrives on the scene. Paramedic Jeff Berry starts hoisting the teenagers one by one off the mountain. But when he tries to save Christian Flores, something goes wrong. Let's watch again. When Jeff feels his foothold collapsing beneath him, he signals the chopper to pull him up. But there's no time. The falling rescuer pulls Christian down with him.
It happened so quick, and the only thing that was going through my head is, you know, he's going to fall through this waist strap. That's the only thing holding him.
Thankfully, the rescue strap holds. Using all of his strength, Jeff hauls Christian back up. Then they are both airlifted to safety. Christian Flores knows he cheated death.
I just felt so relieved. I was relieved that I was off the cliff and just closer to getting home. Thank God that there wasn't a rock that hit my head or nothing like that, you know? Could have just broke my skull open or something.
Once back on solid ground, the friends embrace, grateful to be alive.
I thought I was gonna die on that mountain.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Officer Greg Lundell has stopped to help a stranded motorist. But getting caught in the rain is the least of their worries. Watch again. The officer looks up to see that 2 hydroplaning cars are barreling out of control. He warns the motorist, Antonio Garcia, just a split second before the careening sedan narrowly misses them both.
The car was probably within an inch of hitting Antonio as it slid by.
It's a horrifying moment that Antonio will never forget.
I looked, seen something white coming, and I looked at the driver's window, and then I seen the lady, and she had her eyes wide open, scared and everything.
Miraculously, no one was injured. But Officer Lundell knows this routine stop could have easily resulted in disaster.
It's just amazing how close it really was. We're both really lucky.
I just felt it wasn't my time, and that's why I was so scared, and who knows when my time will be. I hope it ain't for a while.
Now, an amazing video classic.
He's the original daredevil.
I'm the best in the world at what I do, and nobody can do it better.
A man who looks death in the eye and never blinks.
I never missed a takeoff. The landings, that's where the trouble began.
He's Evel Knievel.
And the competitor that I faced was death. And he is the toughest competitor in the world. Because when he beats you, you're not coming back for any late show rerun, pal. It is over.
Las Vegas, Nevada, 1967. Evel, a young unknown stuntman, is preparing to attempt the most important jump of his life.
Here I was at the most beautiful casino and hotel in the world, Caesar's Palace. And I had a chance to, if I lived, to make a real mark in the entertainment industry.
To succeed, he'll have to jump 150 feet over Caesar's spectacular fountain. It seems impossible, but Evel feels confident.
When you do what I do for a living, you have to have a positive mental attitude. And if that positive mental attitude doesn't work when you make that jump, you have to be man enough to handle the circumstances. In my case, I'm man enough.
Now he's ready. Evel races down the ramp at 90 miles an hour, soaring over the fountain. But suddenly, disaster. Let's watch again. He clears the water with ease, but lands dangerously short of his mark. Evel tries to brace himself as he slams into the asphalt.
I bounced like a rag doll, but I felt my pelvis crush. I felt my hips turn in their sockets. I could feel the pavement crunching against my helmet.
The daredevil's twisted and broken body finally skids to a stop. He's critically injured.
I was unconscious for 29 days after the jump. I almost lost my life. Crushed my pelvis and broke my left hip and my right ankle and my hands and my wrists. The helmet saved my life.
Miraculously, Evel emerges from his coma, and on that day, a true hero is born. He decides to bounce back from his near-fatal accident and become the greatest daredevil of all time.
It was a will and a desire. And that's the way God made me. I did it. I can do it because I'm Evel Knievel.
Coming up, a monster truck veers off the tracks and wipes out a couple of cop cars. And a village is devastated when their fishing boats explode in a fireball of flames. Then later, an ordinary citizen puts his life on the line to stop a desperate criminal. When the world's most amazing videos returns.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the Renegade Monster Truck quarterfinals. Steve Kane is behind the wheel of a 7-ton gorilla of a truck appropriately named King Kong. Steve and challenger Gary Porter are at the starting line. And there they go. The trucks steamroll over 7 parked automobiles. Next, they take off over a row of 14 cars, leaving them flattened like pancakes. But then, disaster strikes. Steve's truck crashes into a pair of police cars and bursts into flames. Lieutenant David Smith is standing just a few feet away when his patrol car is smashed.
When I saw the truck on top of my car, I was a little in disbelief.
Let's take another look. Seconds into the race, Steve's truck barrels off the track on two wheels. It leaps over a cement barrier, taking out a steel signpost. Then it skids sideways, flips onto the patrol cars, and explodes in a blast of fire. Members of Steve's pit crew fear that he's trapped inside the truck, burning alive. Rescuers race to put out the flames and save the driver. But incredibly, Steve has managed to escape uninjured through the back window. It recalls the helpless terror of being behind the wheel of this out-of-control monster truck.
When it hit that wall, I pretty much knew right then that that was the end of it. Whatever it's going to do is it's going to do by itself.
Then, to make matters worse, Steve's alcohol-injected engine ignites.
It had that flash fire, you know, I could feel the heat on my face and around my goggles. You know, I could feel it, you know, through my flame suit. I mean, it was hot.
Steve is now retired from the sport that almost took his life. And Police Lieutenant Smith learned a valuable lesson in his fiery brush with death.
My advice to any law enforcement officer or anyone else watching a monster truck is make sure you're far away.
Seoul, South Korea. On this quiet street on the outskirts of the city sits a small bank. Two tellers are on duty. It's near closing time when a man appears wearing a motorcycle helmet. He seems to be fumbling for his wallet. Then he stoops beneath the counter. These women know that something is up. Suddenly, the man attacks the tellers with a gun. Watch again. When the would-be robber enters, the two clerks are immediately suspicious. They exchange a silent glance, acknowledging the danger. One woman starts to reach for her tear gas gun. When the thief advances, she grabs the weapon and fires. The robber is undeterred. He pistol whips the woman and knocks her to the floor. Her co-worker fights back, ignoring the danger to her own life. The bandit throws down his pistol and makes his escape with no money, and now with no gun. The surveillance tape shows that this thief had no chance against two brave women who were determined to fight back against crime.
Now, for the viewer video of the week, sent to us by Michelle Deshane of New Brighton, Minnesota.
Yellow Lake, Wisconsin. A large crowd is gathered to watch an annual event known as snowmobile water skip racing. The object is to gain enough speed on land so the snowmobile can successfully race across 200 yards of water. These machines are built to be driven in the snow. So some make it across, and some don't. During a break in the competition, snowmobiler Rodney Jensen performs a few tricks. Then, just as he's about to turn toward the land, disaster strikes. Let's take another look. Rodney is unaware that another racer is speeding toward him from the opposite direction. The 800-pound machines collide head-on, launching the riders into the frigid water. The other racer is uninjured and is able to make it out of the pond safely.
Where's the other guy? Where is he?
But Rodney is nowhere to be found. The onlookers yell frantically for the other drivers to stop. Their shouts can't be heard over the roar of the engines. Miraculously, the spectators are able to pull Rodney from the water and revive him. Although he almost lost his life, Rodney Jensen continues to take part in this annual test of courage. Bowen, Australia. A firestorm has erupted on this fisherman's wharf. Just as emergency crews arrive, an explosion rocks the harbor. Spectators on a nearby sailboat watch in horror.
Oh, this is unbelievable. There's not a boat in there that's safe.
There was some kind of explosion that started the whole thing.
As word of the frightening blaze spreads through the village, Roger Williams, a local fisherman, races to the docks to see if his boat has survived.
It's not a very good feeling when someone says the boats are on fire. Of course, you hope that it's not yours, but that wasn't to be true for us.
Sadly, Roger's fishing trawler, his family's sole source of income, is completely engulfed in flames.
Well, we felt quite helpless because the fire was so intense. The water just seemed to be doing nothing.
In an effort to reach the burning boats, firefighters must wade into the harbor and stand in the frigid water. Thousands of gallons of diesel fuel are now leaking into the bay, threatening to turn it into a sea of fire. Suddenly, several propane tanks aboard the vessels explode, shooting fragments of white-hot metal through the air. Despite the danger, the firefighters are determined to rescue anyone who might still be trapped aboard the blazing boats.
That was very disturbing to us, thinking that, we know that a number of the community, the fishing community, do sleep on board those vessels, so that was our main concern.
Incredibly, all of the fishermen survive. Even more remarkably, they escape uninjured. But daylight reveals that their livelihoods have been destroyed.
The next day we returned early in the morning and it really did look like Pearl Harbor or some similar sort of catastrophe. It's gone. There's nothing left. So all the hard work you've put in is gone.
But Roger and his fellow fishermen know that they could have lost a lot more than their boats during this night of fiery terror.
Next up, a fighter jet is blown out of the sky by a heat-seeking missile. Plus, a racer flies off the track at more than 250 miles an hour. Then later, step right up to see a circus performer who really loses his head when the world's most amazing videos continues.
The Spanish countryside. Panic erupts when a bull goes on a rampage. Fearing for their lives, villagers run for cover. Suddenly, the beast charges toward one frightened group. Then, it's over. Watch again. The bull sets its sights on a young boy. Just before it can strike, the creature stumbles and falls. One bystander ducks, while another is steamrolled by the tumbling bull. They slam to the ground. Then, incredibly, they both leap to their feet unharmed. But now this temperamental Taurus is acting a little more sheepish, undoubtedly embarrassed by his bungled rampage. Northwestern Peru, May 31st, 1970. You are witnessing one of the most unusual events ever caught on camera. The film documents an entire town trying to escape the wrath of a massive 7.7 earthquake. Panicked residents run for their lives to avoid being crushed by falling debris. The quake is so powerful that it brings down part of the Huascaran mountain.
We were afraid that the mountain would fall on us. Then I look up to see part of it breaking apart and coming down.
The entire town of Jungai is buried in an avalanche of 160 million cubic feet of rock and mud. One of the lucky survivors is this woman.
Thanks to God, the avalanche missed me by less than 10 meters.
This devastating earthquake ranks as one of the worst natural disasters of the Western Hemisphere. It has taken nearly 30 years for the survivors to rebuild their shattered lives. But it will take a lifetime to forget the destructive power of this savage quake. China Lake, California. Air Force fighter jets take to the sky in a training mission. But suddenly, the pilot of an F-18 fires a missile. The heat-seeking rocket soars across the sky and strikes the tail wing of an F-4 Phantom. The disabled aircraft begins to spiral out of control, plunging thousands of feet. Then, without warning, the jet's fuel tanks explode in a horrific blast. The streaking comet of flaming wreckage breaks apart and plummets toward the ground. It slams into the desert floor. It erupts in a hellish ball of fire. It's hard to imagine anyone surviving this terrifying disaster. Luckily, no one had to. That's because the F-4 Phantom used in this training exercise was unmanned. But the precision shot that brought it down is an explosive example of the destructive power of this weapon of defense. Indianapolis, Indiana. George Elliott is at the starting line in a race car powered by a jet engine. He throttles up and is off, rocketing down the asphalt at 260 miles an hour. He pulls the chute, but there's big trouble. George's sons can't believe their eyes.
I saw him go halfway down the track and then a big plume of smoke, and I heard somebody in the audience say, "Oh my God, there's been an accident."
George hits record speed, but he pulls the chute too soon, launching the jet car skyward.
Going 260 miles an hour, it acted like an airplane. It lifted the front end and the body acted like a wing, and it took off into the air.
The body is sheared off as the vehicle soars 100 feet before violently crashing into the guardrail. George is pinned beneath the mangled wreckage as the jet car screeches to a stop. Emergency personnel rush to the scene and flip the vehicle over. They remove George's helmet and try to pull him from the twisted chassis. Miraculously, he's alive.
The hardest part for me in the whole incident was the fact that two of my sons were at the track with me. I was really fearing for what they were thinking.
Basically, walking away from it is a real miracle.
Life is one thing that you just can't take for granted.
George is lucky to have survived the devastating accident, but this close call was enough to make him retire from the high-risk sport of jet car racing for good.
Up next, when a fugitive tries to outrun the cops, it's a good Samaritan to the rescue. Plus, a raging river swallows a car, trapping a terrified woman inside. Then later, the secret behind the most bizarre circus act ever. when the world's most amazing videos returns.
Ontario, California. A man with a loaded weapon has threatened police.
The initial call was a man with a gun, possibly chasing someone.
Now the officers are in hot pursuit. But he refuses to stop. After a 2-hour freeway chase, the suspect heads into a crowded neighborhood. The police are not about to let this madman get away. The officers take action, ramming the fugitive's car. But this still doesn't stop him. The crazed driver continues to flee. The police are right behind him, forcing the suspect off the main road. Working together, the 2 patrol cars slam into the vehicle. Then they hit him again. Bounces off a parked car. Final hit from the police cruiser forces him onto the median strip. Then the driver takes off on foot, still trying to avoid capture. But a citizen, Gerald Tackett, is not going to let that happen. Let's take another look. Gerald jumps from his vehicle and races ahead of the police. As the fugitive runs through a backyard, Gerald tackles him. Then the police arrive and take over. But suddenly, Gerald has a gun pointed directly at his head. Watch again as the startled homeowner mistakes Gerald for the suspect and takes aim.
When I got up, the homeowner came out and put a gun right to my face. I'm like, hey man, it ain't me. It's this guy over here on the ground. And it seemed it took forever for that guy to put that gun down.
The suspect is booked on multiple charges, including assault with a deadly weapon and evading arrest. Gerald says next time he'll leave the chasing to the cops.
I'll never forget that because I don't plan on doing it again. I think it's just a once-in-a-lifetime deal for me.
Taking the law into your own hands can mean putting your own life on the line. Auckland, New Zealand. A welterweight title match enters its final round. Albert Macho Man Machong in the white trunks is battling his arch rival, Sean Sullivan.
Good comeback from Machong.
The boxers exchange furious blows, but the referee is concerned about a cut above Macho Man's eye. He stops the fight to take a better look.
Albert Machong out to the corner, just wipes the eye.
Fearing that the cut will only get worse, Machong's manager concedes the fight.
And the corner of Albert Machong is thrown in the towel.
Sullivan celebrates the victory, but Machong is fuming about the loss.
Oh, a totally unnecessary blow there.
Macho Man lands his best punch of the night. Blindside haymaker to the ribs. Officials separate the 2 boxers, but supporters of Machong climb into the ring looking for a fight. Then, without warning, an all-out brawl erupts in the crowd between fans of Sullivan and Machong.
This is just what boxing doesn't need.
Here, the gloves are off, and there are no referees.
Well, we've seen it happen here before.
Suddenly, Machong leaps into the fray and unleashes a furious volley of head blows and body kicks.
Albert Machong, this isn't good.
Machong and his bloodthirsty gang attack a Sullivan supporter, using a solid steel microphone stand as a battering ram.
This is why people don't come to boxing anymore.
Other spectators wield folding chairs and bottles as both sides square off in a vicious free-for-all. Finally, security forces managed to regain control.
When I come here, I couldn't believe how many security men were here, and now I see why they're needed.
Several of the troublemakers are injured, along with many innocent bystanders. Thankfully, no one is killed.
If he's not banned from the sport for life after this, I think boxing has got no credibility at all.
This dramatic video was used to convict brawlers from both sides. And as for this gutless display by the Macho Man,
Albert Ma Chong, this isn't good.
His unsportsmanlike conduct outside the ropes earned him a suspension. Phoenix, Arizona. Police and fire rescue teams respond to a report of a car trapped in a flash flood, but there's no sign of life. And fireman Ron Cummings fears the worst.
We saw that the car was submerged under the water, and we really didn't think we had a rescue. We thought it would just be a body recovery.
Then suddenly, there's movement in the rear window. The driver is still alive. A 34-year-old woman named Young Tran is in the back seat, fighting to stay alive by holding her head above water in a tiny air pocket.
The front seat was pretty much underwater, and then there was a little bit of space, maybe like about a foot right at the back window that was not submerged in water.
Firefighters try to calm the desperate woman, but the water inside the car continues to rise. Young begins to panic.
Driver of the vehicle, you can hear us. The fire department is here. We'll be with you soon. Be patient, don't panic. Everything is under control.
Ron volunteers to ride shotgun on the skid of a chopper and be airlifted to the stranded vehicle.
Driver of the vehicle, stay in your car. Do not get out until the fire department gets you out.
Veteran pilot Larry Hallis carefully maneuvers the helicopter into position above the churning river.
I was amazed. I had seen flash floods before, but this one was pretty substantial.
He hovers just a few feet above the water as Ron tries to find a spot to jump off. If the chopper gets too close, the rescue effort will end in disaster.
The force of the water is so great on a fixed object in the water that, it could conceivably pull the helicopter into the water.
Ron steps cautiously onto the roof, struggling to keep his balance as pounding waves rock the car. Holding onto the slippery roof, he tries to make contact with Young.
She had rolled the window down a little bit, and I touched her hand, told her not to move, and I would be there in a little bit.
But the frigid water is nearly over her head. With only seconds to spare, Ron smashes the rear window and frees the terrified woman. But they'll have to get off the car quickly. The water is rising and filled with tree trunks and boulders that could sweep them away in an instant. Larry tries to steady the chopper above the car, but he's flying in darkness, fighting wind and rain.
I couldn't see the car, I couldn't see Ron, I couldn't see Mrs. Tran, and I was just praying that I didn't knock him off the car.
Ron reaches for the skid, but now he faces a new challenge.
The helicopter builds up a static charge, so every time you touch it, you got to relieve that static charge.
Ron ignores the painful shock and reaches for the chopper. He nearly loses his grip on Young as he clutches the skid. But somehow, he hangs on. Larry slowly pulls the chopper away and heads for shore. Finally, Young is safely on dry land. Miraculously, she escapes this harrowing ordeal without injury. As daylight breaks, the magnitude of the storm's destructive power is fully realized. Minutes after the rescue, the raging torrent capsized her small car and buried it in the riverbed. Were it not for the heroic efforts of Ron and Larry, Young would have suffered a disastrous fate. Albert Park, Australia. An ordinary day at a security checkpoint, heats up. As cops try to put out this engine fire, the driver rushes to lend assistance and promptly burns his helping hand on the red-hot hood. When they finally pry open the engine compartment, police can't believe what they find. It's packed with flammable items like camping equipment, plastic bags, a boiling container of motor oil, and a potentially explosive container of propane gas. Needless to say, the police are stunned.
How anybody could store rubber materials and flammable materials and LP gas bottles in their engine bay. It's just beyond belief.
When cops question the perplexed pack rat, he offers no explanation.
On reflection, do you think it was a bit silly?
Hopefully, this bungling driver has learned his lesson and will think twice the next time he decides to fill her up.
Coming up, two men hang on for dear life when their balloon slams into the side of a building. Plus, a bungling burglar gets trapped by his own brilliant scheme. And a circus performer brings down the house when he brings up the rear. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Barcelona, Spain. Two men are preparing to fly a hot air balloon as part of a city music festival. The massive airship rises upward, but then there's big trouble. A gust of wind slams the giant balloon into the jagged facade of a building. The balloon tears free, but not before a gaping hole is ripped in its side. The two men inside are helpless as their aircraft falls back toward the building. Thankfully, part of the balloon's shredded material gets snagged on the rooftop and keeps them from falling to the ground. But the men begin to panic. They know the snagged fabric could give way at any second and plunge them 50 feet to the pavement below. There's only one way out. One man climbs out of the basket and onto a narrow windowsill. Clinging to the window frame for support, he tries to help his friend to safety. But the young man is caught between the basket and the building, hanging on by only his fingertips. His friend waves back the crowd, fearing the gondola will plummet to the earth at any second. With time running out, he reaches and grabs his friend's jacket and pulls him to the narrow ledge. The crowd below cheers, and the frightened balloonist somehow managed to smile, thankful that what went up didn't come crashing down. San Antonio, Texas. A man trying to steal beer from a convenience store is trapped when he attempts to break in through a kitchen vent. Store manager Joe Castellano is shocked to learn that a grown man would think he could make it through such a narrow opening.
When I heard that, it was just wondering who would be dumb enough to do it.
Now the crook's feet are dangling from the exhaust vent. While rescues are serious business, the firefighters involved in this operation are having a tough time keeping a straight face. This half-baked scheme could have been avoided had the suspect realized that his 38-inch waist would not fit through a shaft only 24 inches wide. Up on the roof, firefighter Dean Solis can tell that the bungling burglar won't be coming out the way he went in.
He was just so wedged in there. He was so wedged. Apparently his legs had gone through the kitchen vent. So he was stuck. His legs were stuck. There was no way he was coming back out.
After being trapped in the confined space for nearly 2 hours, the robber starts to panic.
You know, he was telling me, I'm starting to feel real bad. I'm starting to stomach hurts. I want to get out of here.
Firefighters decide to rip open the sheet metal hood to try and get him out. Finally, the man is free, but not for long.
All right, there's some nice gentlemen over here want to talk to you now.
As the cops apply the cuffs, it's obvious this slippery crook has not escaped his ordeal unscathed.
Everyone was laughing at the guy there because he was greased up like a hog.
Thanks to firefighters, he was not seriously injured. But this thirsty thief will have plenty of time to cool his heels behind bars. Few people will ever forget this amazing video classic. A young man is cleaning the elephant cage at the local zoo when suddenly a 10,000-pound pachyderm sits on his head, plunging him into darkness. If you thought that was incredible, we've discovered another video that's equally as remarkable. Up until now, this clip has only been seen on the internet. But after weeks of intensive research, we were able to locate the man behind this breath-defying stunt. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Royal Hannaford Circus features an act so unusual that even P.T. Barnum would never have dreamed of it. Hold on to your hats and watch what happens to this clown. Let's take another look. The man is flung off balance and flies headfirst into the worst seat in the house. The clown is stuck inside the 2,000-pound horse for several excruciating moments. Finally, he is pried out and staggers across the ring, gasping for air. The identity of the man behind the horses behind has remained a mystery until now. We've located him, and his name is Mark Caroli.
You all had a hard time finding me, but you did it. And you found me in a little bitty town traveling down the road. It's amazing how you guys do it.
Mark says that this bizarre disappearing act has been part of the Hannaford Circus since the early 1900s.
It's a guaranteed laugh. I mean, if you don't laugh at that, there's something wrong with you. You know, the old saying was, if when in doubt, drop your pants, you're going to get a laugh. But, you know, it's not something you'd say, well, if you're not getting a laugh, well, stick your head up horse's butt, you know. It's still getting huge laughs today, and I'm just carrying on a tradition.
But Mark would like to take his moment in the national spotlight to make a startling confession.
I can assure you I'm not really doing it, okay? I mean, I love to make people laugh, but I'm not, you know, that weird.
So how does he do it? Heads up. Mark is about to reveal a century-old circus secret. Watch as he demonstrates with his trusted horse, Soda.
Just for those people at home, it's really not happening what you thought you'd seen. This is all basically I do, just really trusting the horse and putting my head right between his legs as you come out. You just come out quick like that, and it gives the effect that you've done what you did not do.
Now you know the inside secret of the world's most amazing headless horseman.
Comedy is an addiction. Once you make people laugh and make people happy, it's very rewarding.